Hey, this is Hall of Famer Devon Dudley here, 24-time World Tag Team Champions, and I've done it all. But you're going to watch, and you will watch Count It Out with Mike and Taylor. You damn right. And if you don't do that, your ass is going through a table.
Joining us today, we have a former WWF Intercontinental Champion. He is the master of the Pearl River Plunge, and chances are, if you were in the ring against him, you were going down. We are joined today by the one and only Ahmed Johnston. Mr. Johnston, thank you so much for taking some time and joining us today.
No problem, brother.
So I want to talk about so much with you today because you've done so many incredible things with your career. But if you're okay with it, I'd like to start off by doing some things that you did before you started out in the wrestling business. And I want to talk to you about your time with the military. You graduated at the top of your class. What was that whole experience like for you? And when you look back at that time period, what kind of feelings does that bring to you?
Oh, man, that was the most incredible time of my life. Serving the military and graduating most distinguished undergraduate. I mean, not too many men get to do that. You know, you graduate number one out of 2,000 soldiers. Wow. So, I mean, you got to really cowboy up to do that. And that's my highest honor, I would say.
Absolutely. Like, what was like a day in the life of that like for you? You'd get up in the morning and kind of run us through the regimen that you'd have to go through, because I know it's pretty intense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get more like at 4 a.m., go out for your morning run. Then you do your push-ups in the rocks. They have a bunch of rocks out there. You have to do push-ups in the rocks and your sit-ups and other calisthenics. And it was just pure torture.
Where do you like find the fortitude to push through and to dig through such grueling stuff like that? Like, you got to dig really deep and find places of yourself that you probably didn't even know that you were able to get to, right?
That is so true. I had no idea that I was number one. I mean, they don't tell you, drill sergeants don't tell you anything. All they do, you go through the test. They give you a test, and everybody has to take the same test. Your aptitude, your physical fitness, everything. And I graduated number one in all of them. And it was unbelievable because during graduation, when they were calling people on stage, I mean, we went into the auditorium, it was jam-packed with people's families. And I didn't think I was going to get any awards, so I didn't invite anybody. Nobody came for me. And then while they're saying the honors and everything, they yell out, the last honor of the night is the most distinguished honor graduate, the number one soldier out of our whole camp platoon. And they said the number one soldier is Tony Norris. So I'm looking around trying to find Tony Norris. I really didn't think it was me. I thought there was another Tony Norris there, and it was me, man. And it was great, man.
You're in good company. There, wrestling has seen many other veterans in their ranks. Most recently, Lacey Evans, of course. You have Randy Orton. You have the Road Dogg. Do you feel that the military helps you get ready for a career like this? Because especially the WWE, it's a very grueling schedule. It's not for the weak-hearted by any means. Do you feel like your military background helped you get ready for that?
Well, I'll tell you what, it got me ready for life.
Yeah.
It got me ready to handle anything that comes my way in life.
That makes sense.
Like when I left the military is when I tried out for the Cowboys. And when I tried out for the Cowboys, once again, I did not go to try out for the Cowboys. I went with a friend of mine who was trying out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a guy named Bob Eccles, I'll never get his old white guy, came in the stand. He said, "Aren't you trying out?" I said, no, I'm here to support my friend. And I was pretty built then. He said, you ought to give it a shot, give it a go. And I was like, no, I really don't want to. I'm just here. I didn't want to embarrass myself. I said, I'm here to support my friend. So he went out, man, and got some shorts, a shirt, and some cleats, and came back and gave it to me in a bag, brand new stuff. He said, now here, I want you to go try out. And I was like, well, now you obligated me since you brought the stuff. No, I have to try out. And I tried out, man, and I was out of 200 guys, I was one of the 4 that got picked.
Wow. That doesn't surprise me at all. Oh, I had a conversation not long ago with somebody about wrestlers that were football players or tried out for wrestlers, and somebody actually brought up in conversation, did Ahmed Johnston play football? And nobody had an answer because I didn't even know that you tried out for the Cowboys. But I said, well, he should have. I'm not sure if he did, but he sure as hell should have. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Did you have a football background, Ahmed? I didn't know if you played in high school at all. So it was like something you were accustomed to then, right?
And then I played like a junior college called Job Corps, junior college. Huh. And I played there. And so I had a background in it. Just I didn't think I was, ready for the pros.
Perfect.
Now, obviously, I want to get in the meat and potatoes of your wrestling career because me personally, everybody who listens to this show knows ad nauseum that my favorite time in wrestling is the New Generation area. I love that 95, 96 stuff. And you were my guy in 96. This is a dream for me to have you here. But before we get there, I want to go right back to the beginning because there's one man that is so interesting to me. When his name comes up, I wish I knew more about him because he really piques my interest. And you were lucky enough to train under him. Can you tell me anything? Do you have any stories about the one and only Skandar Akbar?
Oh, Skandar he was a cool man. He was a smooth operator, man. He was a good guy, man. He was cool, old school, very old school, and he was just like a drill sergeant almost, man. He was good, man.
How did you get hooked up with Skandar in his camp?
Well, I trained under Ivan Putski first.
Okay, that's right.
Ivan Putski trained me first, and from there, I got involved with Global.
Right.
Global Wrestling Federation, and that's where I met Skandar.
Oh, okay. Well, that works out perfectly for you, Tyler, because I know you have a lot of questions about Global.
I love the Global Wrestling Federation. I think it's such a hidden treasure in the world of professional wrestling. You had that big throwback to the world class vibes in the Sportatorium. Yeah. The Von Erichs were in there. When you look back at that time, is that something that you look back at fondly, working in that generation and that federation?
Yes, that Global is what I credit to what got me where I am. Because the reason I got to WWF was I had a match against the Freebirds. And I was walking to the ring, and some drunk guy on the way to the ring jumped over the rail and punched me in the back. And I turned around, I thought one of the boys playing a ha-ha on me or something, I turned around and just tattooed up drunk guy, big guy. I thought he was tough. And so when I hit him, all you could hear was his jaw crack, man. And his hat flew one way and he flew the other way. And I got to the ring and Michael Hayes and them were just cracking up. They couldn't stop laughing at him. And then we had our match. And once we got done, Michael Hayes said, man, you should be in the WWF. And I was like, thank you. He said, no, you're understanding me. So I'm going to get you up in the WWF.
Wow.
And I was like, man, that's cool, And from there, people say Michael Hayes was racist, but I never experienced it. And then he helped me get up in WWF. So, the guy couldn't have been too racist,
100%, yeah. The Freebirds are definitely somebody I wanted to ask you about because I did see that you had the match with them there that you just talked about. They were notorious for being incredible in the ring and crazy outside of the ring. Did you get to spend any time outside of the ring and get that full Freebird experience?
Brother, after I seen them in the locker room, I knew I couldn't hang out with them. No, they were too wild for me, man. They were too wild. They were too wild for me to hang out with.
Yeah, they're the stuff of legends, but that must have been pretty cool too. Like being like a fan of the business, being in the sportatorium locker room with the Freebirds, where they have all that history with the Von Erichs. That's a cool
Yeah,
moment, right?
exactly.
Now there was another legend that I saw that they paired you up on screen with a couple of times there, and I'd love to know what your experience was like working with the Junkyard Dog and how your guys' relationship was.
Oh, Junkyard Dog was cool, man. Cool as ice, man. He's what he did was he kind of hit me to the game about wrestling, what's going on, what to do and what not to do. You know, how not to take any mess from owners and promoters and stuff like that. He kind of schooled me on all that.
Hmm. So that's why I love the Global Federation so much because like Junkyard Dog was a legend in the Mid South, Bill Watts area first, and the Freebirds with World Class, and you just have everything mixed up and together in this one promotion here. The last thing I want to ask you about Global Force, and I want to throw it over to Mike for the next question, is what about working with the Von Erichs? I know Carrie and Kevin were in and out of there. How was your experience with the Von Erichs?
But we were cool, man. We were cool. They were good people. You know, I hate all the deaths, but they were good people, man. They really was. It's just I don't know if they were trying to match up to their dad's expectations of professional wrestling, and they fell short. I don't know, but they were good people, man.
Yeah, and it's nice to see that legacy continue now with Kevin's sons doing the
Yes,
doing the business and the movie that just came out, The Iron Claw, was such an emotional and beautiful movie as well.
yes.
All right, so you said that it's Michael Hayes. He tells you got to go to WWF. He hooks you up. You go up to New York. You meet the big guy. What's your first impression? Your first meeting like Vince McMahon like?
You knew he was the boss. Let's just put it like that. You knew who the boss was going in
Yeah.
there. You know, he was pretty cool, man. You know, when I first met him, he was very cool. It was funny. While I was doing my contract, he told me to bring my attorney or my agent with me.
Okay.
So he flew me up there a second time. I brought my attorney with me, and as soon as we got in the office, Vince walks in there, man, weirdly, and looks and asked me, you know, who is this? I said, this is my attorney. He said, you don't need no attorney. I hate fucking attorneys. And I'm like, okay, you told me to bring an attorney or my agent, and he made my attorney leave the room.
Jeez.
And he was like, well, I'm going to pay what I'm going to pay anyway, you
Yeah.
know, and you don't need no attorney to negotiate that for you. And I'm just tripping out because I'm like, I did what you told me to do.
Oh God.
Already getting heat
You
with the
know,
boss.
he was just trippy, man.
Now Vince is known for really going for the look more than anything else. If you've got
Right.
the look, he might have something for you. And brother, if anybody had the look, it was Ahmed Johnson.
Thank you.
You were built like a brick shithouse. You had something when you hit the ring, especially that great music they gave you. Your very unique attire, the way you wore your pads and everything, was something nobody else was doing. You
Right.
looked different than anybody else. When Vince McMahon looked, did you feel that? When Vince looked at you, were the wheels turning right away? Did you feel that?
Yes, yes. As soon as he seen me in person, he was smiling.
Yeah.
And yes, he said, you know, I got.
I mean, he's looking at you seeing dollar signs, right? He
Yeah,
must
he's
be.
like, I got a blue chipper on my hands there, and then I met with Vince, and then we went the next day and sat at a round table with Bill Watts, JR. Everybody was at the table. All these execs at the table trying to think of a gimmick
Right.
for you, and they came up with all kind of stupid stuff at first.
Of course.
Wanted to call me Buck and this, that, and the other, and I was like, none of that, no, none of that. And then I didn't tell him I was in the military because I didn't want to be stuck with a stupid military gimmick.
That
You
makes
know,
sense.
if I told him military, he would have stuck me with the military
Oh,
gimmick.
you would have been GI Bro before before anybody else was.
Oh yeah,
For sure. Which is great because at that point in time, we're talking what 1995. That wasn't happening. Everybody had a gimmick.
Yes,
Everybody
sir.
had a gimmick. You didn't just go out with, and I know Ahmed Johnson's not your real, not your given name, but still, Ahmed Johnson does not sound like Doink the Clown or the Undertaker or TL Hopper.
Right.
So at that point in time, you were as real as they came. You didn't see gimmicks like you. You were just a guy. You were just a big, strong guy. So the fact that you got over as that character, which wasn't really a character, is a testament to that time in wrestling. And I'm guessing he saw something special in you because your very first match, you go up against Yokozuna, who's always been very protected.
Woo.
Even at the end of his career, he was always very protected, and you body slam him in your debut television match. What was it like? Bring me through that day. What was it like working with Yoko? How did it go when you found out that they were going to trust you with Yoko and with the slam?
Well, when I first got there, and once they gave me to give me everything, they never told me if I was going to be a baby face or a heel.
Oh, okay,
They kind of just threw me out there and let the crowd react the way they
I like
react.
I like that.
And I went out there against Yoko, and a lot of guys were jealous of me because the push I was getting right off
Yeah.
the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to Yoko backstage before the match, and I was like, Yoko, they want me to slam you, and this, that, and another. And he was, I don't know, perturbed about it, and he didn't appreciate it.
Mm.
And he's like, well, I hope you can pick me up because I'm not going to jump for you.
Oh,
And I was
and
like, yeah, that's exactly what I said. Like, oh,
and, and this is when he's pushing 6 bills at this point, right?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how am I going to get him up? And it's enough. But I went out there, man, and just the intensity, the Ahmed Johnston intensity, I just built it all up and scooped him up, man, and slammed him, man.
Wow.
You mentioned that you felt that a lot of the guys were jealous because you're getting the rocket strapped to you right away. Is that something that you had to learn how to kind of navigate? Because you were still pretty new into your career at this point as well, right? Is
Yes,
this
sir.
this backstage atmosphere? Is this something that you had to learn on the fly how to navigate through and kind of quote unquote play the game, or did you just not give a shit and you said, "Fuck it, I'm here and I'm going to do what I'm going to do"?
Well, once nobody really helped me. The only person that ever helped me was Razor Ramon. And nobody else came to me, man. They knew I was new and I was green. Nobody offered to help me or anything. So exactly like you said, I said, fuck it. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And so I went out there, man, and I just did what I had to do, you know, and let the chips lay where they may.
What was some of the advice and the ways that Razor helped you out? Because we sadly lost him a couple years ago, but
Yeah.
I've heard other people tell stories of Razor kind of being good with helping out some people and always pitching ideas. How were some of the ways he helped you out?
Well, I didn't know he was watching my matches. He would stay at the curtains every time I get in the ring and watch my matches. And when I come backstage, he would grab me and he would be, hey, this looked good. That didn't look good. Do more of this, less of that. He was just, and nobody knew that he was giving me, help like that. Because the other boys were jealous. They didn't want to help you. But I was a greenhorn. They didn't want to help me. But Razor helped me out, man, during the whole thing.
It's such a unique like mind frame of not wanting to help people out. Like you would think that,
Yeah,
if people help you out, then you're going to make more money, the houses get bigger, everybody makes more money. You kind of hear like similar stuff with like Bill Goldberg too saying the same stuff about his career.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. No, nobody wanted to help, man. So I went out there and did what I had to do. And if, you like it, fine. If you didn't, we can go in the locker room and square up and get finished there. Whatever you want to do. They
There's a
just knew
period.
that I wouldn't want to play with.
Yeah. There's a period of time, especially in 1996, especially when Brett was off doing other things. I think it's fair to say that you were being pushed and booked as probably the second biggest babyface in the company, second maybe only to Shawn Michaels.
Yes, sir.
And they're really trusting you with that. Not only that, but they're booking you as Shawn Michaels' best friend. You're two guys who trust each other and you're helping each other out. You're even tagging a bunch of times. That's all great on TV, but everybody knows that this is maybe not the best time for Shawn Michaels behind the scenes. Everybody knows Shawn was a little difficult. Once those cameras turned off, you went back. What was the relationship like with Shawn like?
Um, he was he was nothing like he was in the ring. Our
No.
relationship was nothing like that. He called me in the office one time because Shawn was like, the second man in charge of WWE at the time.
Yeah.
He called me in the office one time and he told me, he said, Ahmed, I need you to stop diving over the ropes and I need you to stop doing all these high flying moves. And I was like, why? And he's like, because I do them, and when I do them, and you do them at 350 pounds, it doesn't look good when I do it, at 200 whatever pounds you weigh. And he said, it doesn't look good for me. And I was like, get out of here. And then, so I kept doing them anyway, as you see, my matches. I kept doing high flying moves.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to Shawn. I mean, I was going to show off my, capabilities regardless.
Well, the fans say thank you because we enjoyed seeing it every week. I'll tell you that much.
Is that something that you think you kind of maybe felt a little bit of a backlash from? Because Shawn was known to be really close with Vince at that time. Do you think that he maybe was trying to get in Vince's ear about you?
Oh yeah. I heard a rumor that he told Vince when I was going to get the world championship belt. He told Vince that they wasn't ready, the audience wasn't ready for a black champion.
Oh,
yeah.
Jeez.
So that I think that's why that never came, to the pass, because he told Vince that the audience wasn't ready for a black champion yet.
Which is funny because if you would have asked the fans at the time, it was a toss-up between, but in 96, 97, it was a toss-up between you and Ron Simmons, who was going to get it first. I think we as fans thought we were going to finally get our black champion. It was just going to be one of you two. Which one was it going to be? So that kind of makes sense that maybe Vince had that in his ear. I'm glad you brought that up, though, because there are two different occasions that we should have saw you in the world title picture. Of course, the night after SummerSlam, you were supposed to fight Shawn Michaels.
Right.
And Canadian Stampede, you were supposed to fight The Undertaker. Both times, unfortunately, marred with injury. You had to not have those matches. But to your knowledge, do you know how either of those matches were supposed to go?
I think I was supposed to take the belt from Shawn.
Really?
Yeah. And he wasn't going to allow that.
No. And that only, so I'm sorry, when I say really like that, I'm not surprised that you would have been champion because that would have been great. I guess I'm surprised because that was going to be on a Raw the night after he beats Vader for the title. So in my mind, in my fandom mind, and at this point I'm like 16 years old, if I want to see Ahmed Johnston become world champion, I don't want it to be on Raw. So they were really planning on making the first black champion ever in history on a throwaway edition of Raw. That's strange to me.
Right. So that they kind of cuddled me over by making me the first black Intercontinental champion.
Right.
And I guess Shawn figured, hey, that's,
that's
good enough for him,
yeah.
Whatever. But he didn't want some greenhorn black guy taking the belt from him.
Now, after this, I'll hand over to Tyler. I know you have a lot you want to ask Tyler, but because we're on this subject, I need to ask you. Very recently at a press conference, Triple H was asked basically why he books black wrestlers the way he does, and he was accused of not booking them the way he books white wrestlers. Where he responded to, I don't see race, I don't see nationality, I just see talent. Knowing your experience not only with Triple H and Shawn Michaels and DX, your experience with, I've heard other interviews with you before, I know you've experienced racism in the WWE. Hearing him use those words, knowing how you know him, what's your reaction to him saying that 30 years later? Do you think he means that now? Do you think he's the same person he was back then, or do you have a thought on that?
Well, what kind of changed my mind about them, Triple H, is when they did that blackface routine when they was mocking the nation.
Yeah,
that was going too far.
Agreed.
That was going way too far, and Triple H, when we had our matches, though, he was really cool. I mean, he really talked me through the matches because he knew I was green and he talked me through all my matches with him, and we had some good matches. But the way I heard that he treated Bobby Lashley and some of the other, black stars that were there, I really don't know. I mean, it really gives me a bad taste in my mouth.
Tyler?
Well, I was just going to kind of follow up a little bit on that, and when you hear the actual quote that he said, like, how does that resonate with you about I don't see color, I don't see race, like, is like even just hearing that statement in general, is that the way that people should look at a situation like this, or
No, I don't believe that coming from anyone. You know what I'm saying? You have to notice the color, you have to notice the race, and either you're going to push them or you're not going to push them. And I think in the beginning they were doing good with Bobby Lashley and some of the other stars, MVP and some of the other stars. But then all of a sudden, when Triple H took over, things started taking a turn. I don't know if it's necessarily Triple H more than Shawn Michaels being there with him.
Fair.
But you got to remember, Shawn Michaels is there too, and he's always been like over Triple H and telling Triple H what to do. And I don't know if it's necessarily Triple H or Shawn Michaels.
Now, recently on Netflix, we got the Mr. McMahon documentary there. Have you had a chance to watch that at all?
Yeah, I watched it.
What did you think about how the overall final presentation came out? As somebody who was in the trenches there, did it give Vince a fair shake?
They dressed it up a little bit. They dressed it up a little bit. They didn't really hit the hard subjects. I would like for somebody to interview him that was going to hit the hard subjects, and they really avoided that at all costs.
What do you think personally should have been in there? What would you have liked to have seen in there that wasn't in there?
The race thing, I would love for him to answer that. The women thing, I didn't think Vince was like that.
Really?
With the women, I've never seen him come across against women or do anything wrong with women. But who knows what goes on behind closed doors? I'd like to see more of that in there, more of the truth. That's what I'm saying. I would like to see more of the truth and more of the action in there.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, the race card there and the race thing as well. There was that very controversial angle with the Nation and the Hart Foundation, with the dressing room being spray painted and stuff too. Do you think that there's a place for angles like that on TV, or is it just ridiculous?
No, that was disgusting.
Yeah,
that to me that was disgusting. I mean, it didn't get a big pop, it didn't get a big laugh, and that came out of some racist person's head, which was Shawn Michaels, I guarantee you. I mean, the man says he's a Christian now and this, that, and other. If he is, God bless him.
There's no racist Christians.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
But I don't know about it.
As people that you did get to do a lot of work with, and I'd love to ask you about, is Owen Hart and the British Bulldog. What was it like working with those guys? We're a couple Canadian boys over here from Toronto, so we love us our Harts and our Hart family. Did you enjoy your time working in the ring with them, and did you get to experience any of the famous Owen and Bulldog ribs outside of the ring?
Oh my God, brother! Did I experience it? They start ripping me right off the bat. Right off the bat. And with Owen and Bulldog, man, you can't have a serious match because they make you laugh in the ring. Like they're saying stuff and doing stuff to you that we didn't discuss doing during the backstage talk when we were setting the match up. They switched it totally up on you. And they ribbed me big time, several times. But Brett wanted to make sure I wasn't getting mad. So Brett told me one day that Owen doesn't rib anybody he doesn't like. If he doesn't like you, he just doesn't mess with you.
I like that.
But if he starts ribbing you, then he kind of respects you.
Did you have a favorite Owen rib by chance that you can remember off the top of your head, or is it just a whole thing of just looking back and smiling?
Well, the worst one was I'll give you two of them. One of them was my girlfriend at the time was my fiance was going to be my fiance. I was going to propose to her, and her parents came to the match, and they were up in the booth. They put them up in the booth, and I got done my match, and I came back there to get dressed, and I'm smelling like dog shit everywhere, and I'm like, what's going on? And I opened my suitcase, man, and all my clothes smell like dog shit. Owen took a stink bomb and busted it and poured it in my bag.
Oh no!
So I go up there to her parents. I'm embarrassed. I don't know what to say, what to do. I didn't want to go up to her mom in my ration underwear. So he got me real good on that one. Real good on that one. So I had to explain to her parents why I was smelling like that.
Oh God!
And then he did one at WrestleMania 13.
Yeah.
Where he called my room, and Owen was a good imitator. He called my room, and he said he was from the Jay Leno show. So he's asking me my, birthday, giving me a little background, kind of interviewing like you guys are doing. And he's like, well, okay, well, we'll be there to pick you up tomorrow at 8 o'clock for the Jay Leno show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, man, that's cool. So I went out, brother, brought me a new suit, brought me some jewelry, brought some new shoes. I was pimped out, man. And I'm outside waiting in this hot heat in California. And all of a sudden, Owen and Davey Boy comes out. And they're like, man, why are you dressed up? Where are you going? I said, I got an interview with Jay Leno show. And they're like, what? That's bull, man. We've been here for 14 years or whatever, and we never got Jay Leno and this, that, and other. And they was upset about it. And then they kept waiting with me. And I'm like, why are they waiting with me? I couldn't figure it out why they were waiting with me. And then Owen slipped up and said, your limo's late. It's supposed to be at 8 o'clock, wasn't it? And I was like, yeah, it's supposed to be at 8. And I looked down like, how the hell do you know my limo's coming at 8? And when I said that, they just fell on the ground laughing, man. They fell on the ground laughing. And Dave's like, that was Owen called you, man. And Owen's like, no, that was Davey that called you.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's so funny.
Each other. And I went back in my room embarrassed, like I don't know what.
That's so funny. Mike, I'm gonna steal one more here, and then I'll pass it over to you. But we're on the topic of the Hart family. What was your interactions with Brett like? How did you enjoy being around Brett? And can you maybe take us back to let's talk about just your overall impressions of Brett first.
Brett?
Yeah.
Brett was the coolest cat you could find, man. He was cool as ice, man. I mean, Brett was a good dude, man. He really was. And I hate when they screwed him over in the Montreal screw job. I hate that, man, because Brett was a super cool guy, man. They could have won about that another way.
Yeah.
Brett didn't have trouble. He didn't have a problem with giving up the belt. He just didn't want to give it up in front of his hometown. And that's what got him. And somebody thought, I guess Vince thought, well, I'll screw him by doing it in his hometown. And that's what they did. And that was wrong, man. The Canadians, they love Brett, man.
Yeah, you were there.
Saying something.
You were there that night. What was that night like for you?
It was kind of funny when he hit Vince. Vince came out of the locker room limping with a black eye. And I was like, Brett took it to him back there in the locker room. I didn't get to see it, but you could tell when Vince came out, his shirt was all untucked in. I was like, Brett took it to him. I thought he would.
Yeah.
Brett's real quiet, so people take advantage of Brett. They think they can, but Brett's a lot smarter and a lot meaner than you think he is.
Mm-hmm.
Brett can take it to about any of. Brett will give me a time at fighting.
Wow. That's saying something good. There. Now, that's at the tail end of 97, but the rest of 97, that's a hell of a year for you. You had to do a lot of cool things, work with a lot of cool people. Let's start with a very young Rocky Maivia. You did a lot of work with him in his early career. What was Rock like coming in as green as he was and working with guys like you and Ron and Mark and them?
He was cool at first, man. I mean,
Yeah.
when he first got there, he was a cool dude, man. I mean, he was, cooperating and just played his role in the background, whatever. And when he became The Rock, you got a totally different character.
Hmm.
I mean, he changed totally, man.
Even
Totally.
backstage, even backstage.
Even backstage.
Yeah. Really.
He knew he was the shits, and he
Yeah.
was gonna let you know it.
Oh wow. Well, there's one thing that he has, and one thing that you have. Nobody can take this away. WrestleMania 13. He was fighting with a weird hairdo on his head against the Sultan, and you were not. You were donning the legendary spikes. You were coming out to one of the greatest theme songs of all time. You were fighting side by side, quite possibly the greatest tag team in the history of professional wrestling. Please bring us to WrestleMania 13 and tell us what it was like to have this great experience with the Legion of Doom.
Well, Legion of Doom, me and Hawk was like buddies, man. I
Okay.
mean, right off the bat, we connected. We even did some shows outside the WWF. They didn't know it, but we did some shows outside the WWF as a tag team.
Oh, no way.
And yeah, and I don't think Animal appreciated that. So Animal
No.
wasn't quite as nice with me as Hawk was. Hawk was my boy, man. He
Yeah.
was good people, man.
Did you party with Hawk? I heard how Hawk knew how to party.
I went one time to a party with Hawk, and that was the last time. No, brother. He was
Okay.
way
So-
too party for me.
So with what you just said about Animal, I wasn't sure if I was going to ask you about this, but I need to ask now. I want to once and for all, let's put these rumors away. There's lots of rumors out there that Animal didn't like you. He had some heat with you, and the reason being, such a silly reason, but I want to know the truth to it, was that after WrestleMania 13, you refused to give your spikes back, and he held a grudge against you for all those years because of that. Can you tell the world the truth now? Did Animal not like you, and it wasn't because of the spikes?
No, Animal didn't like me when me and Hawk started tag teaming
Okay.
outside WWF.
Yeah.
But the spike thing was, come on, man. You think Hawk and Animal are going to let one guy take their spikes like little bitches and not do something about it?
Right.
How
Exactly.
much sense does that make? You see me every day. I take your spikes. Like, give me these spikes, these mine, and you're not getting them back.
Yeah.
Right. Against Hawk and Animal.
Right.
I probably would have got my ass handed to me, but I still would have fought them both at the same time. But
So
how much sense did that make?
so you don't have those spikes sitting in your closet right now?
No, I have the spikes. No, Hawk gave me the spikes.
I love
Hawk
that.
told me to keep them,
Yeah.
and I kept them. He gave
That's
me
awesome.
the spike, and he gave me an all Japan jacket.
Oh,
He
that's so
told me
cool.
to keep them.
That's
And
such
so
a
when
cool
he said
thing.
keep them, I mean, it was from the legendary Road Warriors. He
Mhm.
said keep it, I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
100%.
But
Agreed.
how would it sound like me coming up to Hawk and Animal, punking them out for their spikes?
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Give
think
me your spikes. I'm
No,
gonna beat you
that
up.
doesn't make
That-
any sense.
that might have been Chicago Street Fight round 2 in the dressing room after the
No
match.
kidding.
That don't even make sense, man.
I'd love
Man
to.
took Hawk and Animal spikes and they didn't do anything about it. Right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. I'd love to go back to one of the biggest moments of your career, and that's when you became the Intercontinental Champion. When did you first start hearing the rumblings that they wanted to put the belt on you? What were those conversations like?
Brother, I didn't hear anything until the match. It was weird because we went to the ring and me and Goldust, and they didn't tell me whether I was getting the strap or not. They act like it was going to be a regular match. Me and Goldust back there calling the match, what he called it. And then the referee is who they told who was going over. But the referee didn't tell us until like the middle of the match. He was like, Ahmed, you're going over. And I'm like, what? He's like, you're going over. And I was like, oh man, how cool is that? Become the first black champion in the WWF, And that's how it happened, man. They didn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
Do you
The
think that
referee told us
might
during the middle of the match.
do you think that might have been them testing you because they're going to put you in such a big position and you're so young and new into your career at that point?
Yes, yeah, I think it was a test. I think you hit that right on the head. I think they were testing me.
I
Awesome.
know.
Well, I was sorry, I was gonna
Go
just
ahead.
follow up because I know like
Do it.
the build up to that, it's something you probably get asked about all the time, but you guys did that really famous angle where you were knocked unconscious and Goldust came and gave you the mouth to mouth on the stretcher and you absolutely destroyed that security guard. That was like one of the first like that was like one of the first like big replay moments in like the Monday Night Raw era. What are your memories of that angle and what's the conversation like with that security guard after you knocked him into next week?
I'm still trying to find that tape where I knocked him out. I knocked him through the door.
Oh
But
yeah.
what happened was, we were back there calling them, match, and Vince was back there, and Vince was like, "I need somebody to stand in front of the door when Ahmed comes through." Nobody volunteered. And then this one guy, he was cocky with it. "I'll do it. I'm not scared. I'll do it." And I was like, "Okay, Mr. Cockiness, you be right there when I come back here and see what happens." And when I ran through him and the door was locked, when I went through it and ran through him, I mean, I thought the whole frame was going to come down at first.
Yeah.
But that's what that was all about.
Oh, and that angle is so legendary too. Like, what was the pitch like for you? And do you think that like really helped add some steam? Because that during that time period, you didn't see things like that, right? And that really
No,
helped some
right,
steamroll into King of the Ring, right?
right. I was kind of steamed up a little bit because we practiced this. Me and Goldust rehearsed this kiss thing. He was supposed to put his hand over my mouth and kiss his hand,
Yeah.
like he giving his hand mouth to mouth. But it was live TV, so he didn't do it. He was playing a ha-ha on me. So he really put his lips on my lips, and I was like, "You son of a gun." And I couldn't move because it was live TV, so I had to go
Yeah.
along with it. That's when you see me pick Bob Holly up with one hand back there. And, it was the intensity of Ahmed Johnson came out.
Yeah.
And I had to apologize to Bob Holly because I like Bob Holly, man. I think he's a great guy. But I picked him up with one hand, and man, I think I was choking him a little too much. And then ran through that guy, and that just kept the Ahmed Johnston intensity machine rolling.
I, I I think at the end of the day, we're going to talk about Dustin Rhodes, Goldust, as one of the better, if not best, hands of that era. What was it? What was it like working with Dustin through that time? And it almost looked like it was too easy for you. Like you guys worked so well together.
Dustin was so easy to work with, man. He's a master.
Yeah.
Dustin is a master of the sport, man. And I was honored. I was honored to work with him, man.
How do you feel now watching Cody do what he's doing? If you watch the product at all,
yeah.
Is it like watching a young Dustin for you at all, or?
I think Dustin was better.
Okay.
My opinion, I think Dustin was a better worker.
I'm not going to argue.
I mean, Dustin knew little tricks that I don't think Cody knows.
Right.
And but Cody's a good hand, man. I mean, he's good. He deserves what he's getting. But I give my props to Goldust.
Yeah, when it comes to, especially to that era, when it comes to the guys who made probably one of the hardest times in WWE history, because you guys are getting beaten by WCW every week. You need reasons to watch WWE. I'm watching for Ahmed Johnson. I'm not kissing your ass. I'm just telling the truth. But I'm also watching because Dustin Rhodes is putting on the best matches on the card every week. His stuff with you, his stuff with Mark Merrow, his stuff with Triple H. He's always putting on good stuff. I think he's going to go down as one of the better hands WWE ever had, especially during that era.
I agree. If he don't, he should. The boy was a master of the ring, man. He really was.
I'd love to ask you about another incredibly famous moment from your career, and that's the legendary Pearl River plunge on top of the car at the Shotgun Saturday Night. That's crazy on D'Lo, and D'Lo was a big boy back then too.
And before you do, can we just? I'm sorry to cut you off. Can we just say before that, how great of a move the Pearl River Plunge is. It
Thank
goes down as one of my favorite finishers of all time. And it's not just anybody who can do it. There's something about you doing that move. You gave it that look. You gave it that intensity. It'll always go down in the video games. It's what I went to straight forward. I love that move. Sorry to cut you off, Tyler, but I had to get that out there. The Pearl River Plunge goes down as probably top 10 favorite finishers of all time.
But you notice it's a very hard move to do because you got to be strong enough to lift them up
Yeah.
behind. And you notice nobody else is doing it. Since
No, you never see it anymore. Agreed.
I mean, it's a move that you got to know what you're doing to do it.
But on top of the car, let's go there.
Well, to me, I was just to piggyback off that too. To me, I really like the way that you would set it up. It reminded me, and I don't know, maybe if this is something you picked up because you teamed with him a lot, but it was very Jake the Snake-esque, where Jake would always hit the short arm clothesline and then do the signal with his hand for the DDT. You would always hit the big spine buster and then do the big point, and the place would go nuts. Like I love the setup to that.
The psychology to it was great.
I got the point from Razor. Ramon always did that.
Yes.
And so when he left WWF, I started doing it just out of paying him homage to Razor,
Yeah.
And that's why I did it. But the thing on the car, it wasn't planned. We didn't plan it at all. He ran out, so I ran out at him, and I seen this car. I don't even know whose car it was, but I know they had a big dent in their hood when they got out. And it was a nightclub across the street, and I'm like, all these cars here, so I threw them on top of the car and did it. And I was like, I feel sorry for whoever owns this car. They're going to come out and see this big dent in their hood and be like, what did the meteorite fall on me or something? What happened?
What's the reaction after you guys are done the tapings and you get to the back and they're going, what the hell happened out there?
Oh, Vince loved it, man. Vince went crazy over that move, man, on top of the car.
Yeah. How could he not? That was money.
Yeah, big time.
Well, before we start wrapping up, I'll throw it to the last couple questions with Tyler. But one thing I've been dying to ask you, not just today, but my entire fandom since 1998, I've been wanting to ask you about this. I don't know if you're aware. I think you are probably the very first wrestling-related viral video ever. And this comes from something you did in 1998 with a little video game called Warzone.
Warzone.
All these years later, I don't know if you know this, but all these years later, people still talk about the promos you cut for that. They still float around. You have the best promos for that game. I don't know if you remember those promos at all, but if you do you remember shooting them? Do you remember being brought in? Because those things didn't happen for video games. In probably 97, you're even shooting them because it takes so long to make a video game back then. You never shot live action stuff for video games. So what was your thought when somebody came and said, hey, we need this stuff for a video game?
Man, that was the coolest thing. They flew us up to New York.
Yeah.
And they put this green suit on us with all these little balls everywhere. And it was just the neatest thing, man.
Yeah.
And that promo, I don't even know what I said. People said, I don't understand what you said on the promo. I don't either.
I don't know either. It's the British Bulldog Bazaar thing all over again. No one will ever know what he actually said, but that's okay. I don't want to know.
I said something. I don't know what I said, but I know I said something.
Are you like aware of the love that people have for these promos though? Like, do you see all the feedback online of people finding these promos, this whole new generation of finding these promos and absolutely loving them?
No, I haven't really paid attention to it, man.
Yeah, it's blowing. It's starting to really take off in this new social media era here, right? Where I guess some people went back and played all these old Warzone promos, and people are just loving yours because they're just so different. And like you said, you didn't even know what you're saying, and people don't know what you're saying, and they love it. Like they're having a great time with it online.
Yeah, I got to go back and check them out, man.
I'll send you some links to some of the stuff when we're done here. I'll send you some links to some stuff. It's really fun to watch, man. I love
really
watching them too. Like I just love the feedback that it's getting.
Oh, cool.
I got a couple more questions if you're cool with it here.
Yeah, bro. Go ahead. Shoot.
I'd love to know a little bit about your heel turn and what your ideas were about when you were hearing that they wanted to put you with the nation, because it kind of felt from a fan standpoint that it was weird that they wanted to align you with the nation.
Yes.
And in my own personal opinion, I think you could have been a terrifying heel just on your own, still being
Yes.
Ahmed Johnson. Is that something you wish that you could go back in time and maybe tweak a little bit, or what were your thoughts about being with the nation?
Brother, I wish I could go back in time and do it again. Because what happened was I went with the nation and I didn't want to. I didn't want to turn heel with the nation. And Vince wanted me to do it, so I mean, that's the boss. You got to do what he says, you know. And so what happened was once we did it and Vince got a good look at us coming down to the ring, me, Ron Simmons, coming down to the ring like that, man, he was like, no, no. So he called us to the office and he said, you guys, he said, Ahmed, I'm gonna have to take you back out the nation. And I'm like, what? I just got in the nation. He said, well, I'm gonna have to take you out. He said, because nobody's gonna believe that you guys can be beat. He said, look at the power of you guys coming down the ramp. And he showed us a tape of us walking down the ramp. He said, that's just too powerful. Nobody's gonna believe that you guys can be beat. And I was like, okay, cool, I understood that. And you know, only person that can beat the nation is Ahmed Johnson. He's the only person that can fight the nation beat him. You know, but I was always hoping that he teamed me and Ron Simmons up as a tag team. That would have been awesome.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
That would have been a powerful, awesome tag team. And I always wish he tagged us up as a tag team.
Yeah, it would have been really unique to see you guys together just as you two. And you know, maybe that could have even been something with a Ron Simmons face turn as well. Like
Yes.
you guys as a face, like maybe the nation turned on him and you've got this new nation feud, right? With you and Ron against The Rock and the new nation. That could have been a
Right.
pretty cool twist on that.
I would
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
What about your around that time you were doing some work with the Undertaker? You're getting ready to do a program with him before you got injured. What was your experience like with Taker? And did you get to see, was he really the locker room leader that people put him over to be?
Yes, he was. He was a good guy, man. I've never seen him raise his voice to anybody or really get mad at anybody. We had a good promo we did. I don't know if they showed it or not. One time when me and him were tag teaming, but we wasn't on the same sheet of music on the screen. And I was in the locker room and he grabbed me right here by my chest and was like, if you go out by yourself. I was going to go out and get Ron in him. And I hit his hand and put his hand off of me. And I said, let me tell you something, dead man. If you touch me again, you won't be dead enough. And it was awesome, man. Vince was back there and Vince was like, oh my God, that's money. That's money. I mean, Vince went crazy over that little promo. And I don't know if they ever showed it, I never got to see it.
I'm sure it's online. I bet you I could find that for you and send it to you as well. I do vaguely remember that
Do you
promo
remember that
from.
one? Yeah.
I do vaguely remember that because you guys were doing the tag team leading up to the King of the Ring at that point.
Exactly.
And then you did the heel turn shortly, or he was like choke slamming you, and then you were hitting him with the Pearl River Plunge. Like they were really teasing you guys going back and forth leading up to a match. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, if you find that, send that to me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'll send you a bunch of stuff for sure, for sure.
Okay.
I got a couple more questions about your in-ring career, and then I want to talk about something that some work that you do outside of the ring as well. But you know, why is it that we've never seen Ahmed Johnson anything to do with the WWE since you left it? Whether it be a video game appearance or a legend deal or just sitting in the crowd and waving. What's the reasoning why we've never seen you back with the WWE?
Because when I left for good reasons. My sister was sick. I was going through some rough times, and I didn't want to do an angle where they had with the True Commission. The True Commission, Don't get me wrong, I had nothing against them. They were some good workers. I mean, they were excellent workers. I love the True Commission, but they want to do this angle where they hung me with a rope, and I'm like, that's too far. Not removed from slavery.
Mm-hmm.
too far, black men being hung, and I didn't want to do that angle. So I told
I
him
don't
no, I
blame
wasn't
you.
going to do it. And basically, that along with my sister being sick and everything else, I just walked out on him. And Vince told me if I left, that he was going to erase me from history. So I guess that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
He tried to do.
See, it's so crazy to hear because so many people have done so much worse and we've seen them come back.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's when the rumor mill starts getting on, because I remember the rumors floating around for years that, oh, Ahmed just didn't want to put over Kurgan. And I'm like, bullshit. I
No.
never believed that from day one. And then knowing that it wasn't about Kurgan, it was about the spot. You didn't want to be hung by your neck. Who's going to
Right.
blame you on that? Yeah.
Right. I didn't want to be hung by a rope. I mean, that's not. And the reason why. Let me tell you the reason why. My great grandfather was hung
Hmm.
in Tallahassee, Florida.
So
And so that resonates with me.
it's
You
a
know what I'm
personal
saying?
thing for you. Yes. No, I understand that 100%.
What do you think the biggest misconception is about you with the wrestling world? Because when I was doing my research for this interview, I saw about a 50-50 split where there was so many people saying good things about you and some people not saying great things about you as well. What's the biggest misconception that you'd like people to kind of get cleared up about Ahmed Johnson?
That number one, it wasn't that I left because I didn't want to put anybody over. That's
Hmm.
not why I left. Number two, I'm not mean like people think I was in the ring. The intensity scared a lot of people. And a
Yeah.
lot of people were like, man, no, Ahmed Johnson is mean. He's a mean cat.
In
And
the last 20 minutes, I have texted 3 people saying Ahmed Johnson's the nicest guy I've ever met. So,
but people think that they think that I am that intense character in the ring. They
yeah,
think when you meet Ahmed Johnson, get over here. No,
yeah,
that's part of that,
yeah.
and people don't understand that. But I didn't take any trash in the locker room, and some of the guys, knew
Why?
that.
Why should you?
And but did you notice one thing though? The rumors didn't start until I left.
Right.
Nobody
Exactly.
ever said shit when I was there.
Yeah.
They never said shit bad about me when I was there. When
Hmm.
I left, all of a sudden, oh, he's this, he's hard to get along with, he's hard to do this. None of it's true, man.
Yeah. Do you think that going to WCW shortly thereafter had anything to do with it, or it would have happened regardless?
Well, WCW never said anything bad about me whatsoever. The guy in WCW, that's where it was the flip. Because when
Right.
I was WCW, I was out of shape. I wasn't ready to wrestle.
Hmm.
But Stevie Ray was my boy, man, and he
Yeah.
called me, and I couldn't tell him no. For a tag team, I wasn't ready, and that's when I was probably shooting on people the hardest in WCW. But
Oh,
they
well.
never complained. They never said anything bad about me, and they just kind of went on with it. You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
WWF, they all wait till I leave, and all of a sudden, oh, he's a mean guy. He's hard to get along with. Man, all that is bull crap.
Would
Yeah.
you would
And
you be
anybody that meets me knows bull crap.
would you be open to having a conversation with some of these people from back in the day and just trying to clear the air and move on with everything or
Sure. I mean, I can't understand if they have do because they know they're lying. But yeah, I would definitely love to go face to face with some of these people and ask
Yeah.
them why they say what they said and give me a reason, give me a situation to where I was hard to work with or I was mean to you. Tell me when that happened.
Hmm.
But once one person says it, everybody else just jumps on the bandwagon.
Well, I want to talk about some of your charity work that you do here, but I just have one more question that I'm personally curious about because, you know, your whole life changes when you become a star in the WWF. You
Yes,
you
sir.
go you go from, being not, obviously you're never been a normal guy. You're a military veteran and a NFL player and you're a humongous man, built like crazy, but you go from being a guy that gets recognized everywhere you go. You get this big push with the Intercontinental Championship. How do you mentally handle that type of success in such a quick fashion? So I think that's important for people to try to resonate in this era too of getting so much thrown at you and not becoming an asshole, right?
Right. It goes back to my childhood. I mean, I was, as part of the story, I was very abused when I was a child, extremely abused. And you know, you grow up and you appreciate anything that comes your way. That's good. You know what I'm saying? You start appreciating it. And I just appreciated everything, man. That you know went through. I appreciate Vince. I still appreciate Vince to today. You know, because he opened up a door for me that would never been open. And everything, you know, you just got to learn to deal with everything, man. On a positive note.
Perfect. I've got two last questions I want to bring it home with. But Mike, before we get there, do you have anything left that you want to ask Mr. Johnson, or do you want me to start wrapping it up?
Mike, I got a lot of stuff.
we might need a part two.
We could be here for hours, man. I have less of a question and more of a statement. I just want to. Everybody who watches this show knows one thing about me is I don't kiss ass on this show.
Yes.
I'm either going to tell you. I'm not going to insult you. I'm either not going to tell you were one of my favorite wrestlers, or I'm going to tell you were, because it's true, not because I'm kissing your ass. Ahmed Johnston in 1995, 1996. This is my formative years. I'm 14 years old. I'm watching wrestling, and I'm becoming the wrestling fan that I would become. And my thing back then was the Intercontinental Championship, because I was done with the Hulk Hogan's. I was done with all that. And yeah, we have Shawn now and we have Brett now, but I was raised on the Intercontinental Championship, because the best of the best of the best were the IC champions.
Yes, sir.
And now we have Razor Ramon, and we have Goldust, and now we have Ahmed Johnston. You played this role in my childhood that I can't thank you enough, because you played into this new generation that formed professional wrestling. And there's a reason why you were only in WWF for what? 3 years, 4 years tops?
Yeah.
Most people who only had, I mean, your whole wrestling career lasted just over a decade. And that's very short compared to many, many, many careers. Most people, if they wrestled for under 20 years or they're in WWE for under 5 years, we can't remember their name anymore.
Right.
It's such a circle. It's such a cog machine. Here we are 30 years later talking about Ahmed Johnston. Like, people still know Ahmed Johnston. And I hope that you understand that you have this legacy in the WWE, that all the negative talks that do go around, I hope that goes off your back, because that's bullshit.
It does.
You still have, there are still Ahmed Johnston fans out there, because I'm one of them. I'm telling you that right now. I know there's 2 questions left coming, but from the bottom of my heart, the fan in me wants to thank you. And the reason I think this is so sentimental to me now is because I have a 6-year-old son who's now getting into professional wrestling.
Right.
I'm watching him as a fan. I'm watching him pick his favorite wrestlers, which is hilarious, because his favorite wrestlers are guys like Tito Santana and Doink the Clown. He loves old wrestling, and it's great. So watching him makes me really nostalgic for my fan days, and you were a huge part of my fan days. I got to ask you my very last question. During this new generation going into the Attitude Era, is there anybody, you wrestled The Undertaker, you wrestled everybody, you were the main babyface. Is there anybody that you look back being, I could wrestle that guy all day long, and I wish I could wrestle him today?
You know who that is?
Who's that?
Vader. Me and Vader had.
Out of the top 3 people, I was expecting to say that's not the guy. Wow, can you explain that? I love that.
Me and Vader had a shoot match. Before the match, Vader came backstage and he tells me, "All right, brother, I'm gonna lay him in there, so you know I'm just letting you know." And I'm thinking he's playing.
Yeah.
He's just joking with me. We got in the ring, man. His first punch was like, wow.
You just throwing potatoes, eh?
Yeah, and I was like, okay, but this is the way I like to get down. I mean, you singing my song.
Yeah.
So we had a shoot match, man, and he didn't complain. He didn't cry about it. He just took it. I took it from him, and we had a great match, man.
I mean, he was legit one of the toughest guys, was he not?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
But
Well,
then Brett says he was as soft as a teddy bear behind the stage.
Yeah, he was cool. He was a good guy, man.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Ahmed,
Great answer.
you've been so great with your time today. We'll start to bring it home here for you. But before we do, we've talked about so many great things that you've done inside the ring, and I'd love to talk about some incredible things that you're doing outside the world of professional wrestling. Can you tell us a little bit about the charity work that you're doing? I know you're really involved in feeding the homeless community. How important is it for you to give back, and just tell us about this work and where people can check that out and help out?
It's extremely important, man, because I was homeless myself at that point, and so I know what it's like to be hungry, not have a place to go to. Um, so I do a lot of charity work with them, and what I'm going to do now, I haven't done it in the past because I didn't want people to think I was doing it for the clout, but I'm going to start filming, me feeding the homeless and going to these women's shelters, these battered women's shelters and stuff like that. I'm going to start filming them because I think that everybody has a story to tell. And I'm going to interview some of the homeless people and some of the battered women. And I want my fans to hear their side of the story about what happened to them. It's not all about me. It hasn't got anything to do with me. I want them to understand why homeless people become homeless and why some of these women are in this battered shelter. And I'm going to start doing that and filming it, man.
That's incredible. And when you start posting that stuff, let us know so we can help share the word
Hey,
as
I
well.
100%. Yeah, we'll share that everywhere for sure.
That's incredible.
Brother, I definitely will.
For sure, man, for sure. So the last question I like to ask all of our guests, because you've done so many incredible things, when you look back at your entire career, and it could be something that happened in front of the cameras, it could be something that happened behind the scenes. What are some personal moments that you think back on that just make you smile?
The Intercontinental Championship, becoming the first African American to do it,
That's
that
big.
that makes me smile big time, man.
Mm-hmm.
That really makes me smile.
I love that, man.
Nobody can ever take that away from you. I mean,
No, sir.
that's part of history.
That's in history. They don't want to put me in the Hall of Fame. That's fine, but I'm in the Hall of Fame in everybody's mind anyway because I'm the first African American champion. So
That's right.
Hey, I don't need you to give me a ring. I'm fine just like I am.
Absolutely. And like never say never because the wrestling world's a crazy place right now. There's so many places to work. Maybe we'll see Ahmed Johnston pop up somewhere sometime again, right?
Right. Well, the thing that really pisses me off though is all these, if you notice, they've forgiven all these white guys they've had trouble with and gave them the Hall of Fame and this, that, and other, but they won't give me a chance, and I didn't do anything that wrong. I just didn't want to be hung from a rope.
Yeah. What do you think there's any kind of steps that can be taken to help right that ship on either part? Like, is there something
especially now with Vince not in power?
I don't know. I really don't know. I really haven't thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if you could get connected and have a conversation with the right person and start getting back in that fence. Because, I think especially now with the WWE network and social media and YouTube and the internet, like a whole new generation gets opened up to Ahmed Johnson. And, I know people are really finding entertainment like we talked about in your promos, but whether people are laughing at them or whether people are like, wow, this is really awesome. People are going to now search Ahmed Johnson versus insert name here.
Exactly.
And they're finding this powerhouse, like intense monster. Like, so
right.
You know what I mean? It'd be nice if we could get those fences mended somehow. And if there's a phone call that you could make or receive to just get that ship rolling, because I think that wrestling fans would really enjoy seeing a proper send off for Ahmed Johnson.
God knows I would. Yep.
Yes, sir. But if anybody want to contact me, they can contact me on Facebook, or you can. My Instagram is The Real Ahmed Johnson, or you can talk to my agent. His name is Victor.
All right.
Perfect.
We'll make sure that info gets out.
Absolutely. This was a pleasure, Mr. Johnson. I'm going to let Mike take us home here.
Hey, thank you guys, man.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of every Ahmed Johnson fan, because I know they're out there.
Nice.
People who grew up watching that 95, 96 stuff, some of the best. And if you haven't, listen, guys, if you're one of those newer fans, I know we have a lot of newer fans. You got the network, you got YouTube, you got all that stuff. Go watch that 95, 96 stuff. People sleep on that stuff. It's some of the greatest programming WWF ever did. I'm not lying to you. It's amazing stuff. And for no other reason, the man sitting right here with us, Ahmed Johnston, his reign as Intercontinental champion got cut too short because of injury, but it could have been one of the greatest things ever. But you are the first ever black champion. Nobody can say otherwise. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Ahmed Johnston, you have been counted out.